Hello KNXers around the world. Welcome to another episode of KNX Roll, the number one podcast for everything related to KNX. What are we going to talk about today? Well, let's see where we end up. I found some interesting media, floppy disks. What? Floppy disks? Yeah. And some CDs. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that and the way we did communication back in the days. So this is an ETS2 version 1.3 CD, and I think it's the first generation ETS2 that was published on a CD. Of course, ETS1 was published on diskettes. I don't have them anymore, but this is something else. This is about some marketing material of the number one system for building management systems, divided over 2 diskettes. It's very interesting, but I don't remember what's on it. So ETS2 published on a CD, and it has lived a long time, ETS2, because it was until 2004 that ETS3 was launched. ETS3 as a tester, a starter, and ETS3 professional. And if I look back at the recent trial to make KNX software with a lower threshold in an ETS Inside version, I had to think about the starter. It sounds like a good idea, but it's important to look a little bit further ahead and see how those sounding easy ideas are being perceived by the market. Because nowadays I don't hear a lot about ETS Inside anymore. It was the same with ETS3 Starter. Easier software, easier programming, but limited. Too much limited, actually. So basically, it's not so much trouble to go to a real course to learn how to program, how to design, how to take into commission KNX installations. If you know group addresses, if you know individual addresses, you're able to do what you want with the ETS software. So currently we are in the ETS 6 version already, but this ETS 3 was quite nice to talk a little bit about it. First of all, the very attractive design. I know the guy who designed it personally. I see him every day. I had a few designs made, and I chose 2 to present to the Arbeitskreis PR, so to the public relation working group in Germany. And I said, okay guys, I have an ETS design for ETS3 and I have a very attractive one. Which one do you like? And they said, yeah, we like the one with the house and the building, but the blue is kind of in your face blue. So could you tone it down a little bit? I said, okay, guys, no problem. So ETS design in the pocket. And with the next meeting, I took it out again and said, okay, guys, I downscaled the blue a little bit. Do you like it now? So, of course, they agreed with it. So that's how this design came alive. And for the ETS3 starter, nowadays you have e-learnings, so you go to a website and you learn about some technology. In those days, internet, websites, etc. was all upcoming. So we had to publish a computer-based training on the CD, where you could learn about the technology, what is KNX, how can you use it, where do you use it, and a training for the starter, a step-by-step guide on a CD, on the computer-based training model to learn how to work with it. And I found some other nice CDs, Merten, with their product databases probably on it, Stottkontakt, Siemens, and this is very funny actually. This is a 2-sided CD. So you have side 1 with the Visualisierung and you have side 2 with visualization. So very clever done by Siemens. And I found a Buschegger version with some software on it. Also in my archive, I found this very nice brochure. It was published in the time of the convergence process. where Batibus, EHS, European Home Systems, and the EIB system was converging together in what today the KNX Association is. And you see this example here of the logo of the KNX Association at that time, where the three logos were used and being bridged by this arch as a combination together of Connex Association. It was later abbreviated to KNX Association. So back to this brochure. If you launch technology into a market, you are addressing early adopters by talking very technologically based solutions. Bus systems, bus cable, diameters, length, participants, all the technical boundaries, so the communication media, twisted pair, power line, radio frequency, etc. And if you then, after those early adopters, want to reach to the majority, so a bigger audience of your market, you are going to talk more about what does the system do for you. And this brochure is a perfect example of it. So after the technical short introduction, we talked about what the system can do for you in a daytime, mornings, afternoons, evenings, and nights. Or what can the system do to you in summer or in winter? Of course, different settings for heating systems and ventilation systems, for instance. Or in the next life cycle, actually, what the system can do for you in the life cycle of a person, from a young person to a working person to a granny living in the same house, and the house being able to adapt to the needs of the person living there. So there you see that to start with why is very important. Why? Because you address a part of the brain to your customers that is responsible for the buying decisions. The cortex of your brain. Read something about it, start with why, and you will learn a lot of things. So not talk about what and why, but the what and the how. It's important, the what and the how, but the why is the most important. So it was presenting daily cycles, life cycles of a person, and it ended up with the technology for the demands of tomorrow. And I saw something interesting that nowadays you would never see in a publication again. Those were the days. If you talk about home automation and applications like that, you see or you hear often something about the home assistant. But do you know that this home assistant was developed by Siemens? Not this home assistant, but the real home assistant with an intuitive interface of a control for the home. Very intuitive control, and it has been used quite some time. Nowadays, if we talk about Home Assistant, you probably are programming in with APIs and stuff like that, but it looked different back in those days. So yeah, that's a little bit what I found in my archives, and I liked very much the concept that after 10 years of talking about technology for these early adopters, we switched to the application side to talk about what can you do with the system to reach the majority. And this majority is expanding still today after 30 years of the KNX technology on the globe. So if you were able to listen to me until this time, you must be a real fan. If you have some interesting projects to talk about, because I was thinking what I'm doing next time, I would like to speak about some projects that I know that were realized with the KNX technology. You probably have some nice projects as well. So leave a comment and we can get in touch and talk a little bit about some projects that you realized. Or if you have some interesting ideas of how training is looking like in your country, sure, I'm happy to talk with you, and let's talk together in KNX Roll podcast about your interests and about your enthusiasm to share your knowledge with the world. That's what it is about, KNX community. Share what you know so that it can live on. And it does live on. So hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost a thing. Hit the notification bell so that you are notified when a new episode of KNX Roll is published. Until then, see you. Bye.